In this lesson, I'm going to take you through the next step of the initial layout of your newsletter. We just finished the creative process, and the creative process is similar to any creative process we use for other projects in graphic design, where we collect information, we look for inspiration, and then we create our thumbnails and rough sketches. We also did a new planning sheet, and this is a new planning sheet because this project is a specific to a communication piece for the stakeholders of the company: employees, staff members, investors, the board of executives, the owners, anybody who is related to the company and the state of the company. So here we have those people: company employees, branch employees, board members, donors, etc. And it's about corporate information. It's not about promoting a product or just giving blank information. It's very corporate oriented. So here's an example of what to look for on your inspirations. The masthead, layout of the content and columns, use of imagery, the folio, and then how that translate to the rest of the publication. And then your conceptual logos. I mean, not your conceptual logo, sorry, your layout for each page of the newsletter. Be aware of the sections that you need to have on your layout, where the logo will be, how many columns you want to have on different articles, where images will be placed, where will the employee of the month section be, the calendar of event, what are the details of the masthead. So you have to make a list and an inventory basically of all of the assets that you need on your publication, so that then you can start actually laying this out. For example, I showed last week how to lay out the corporate identity for Valencia College if I were to design something for them. So I'm going to use that same client as my inspiration for this project. Here I have some newsletter inspirations, and I'm looking at the layout, the use of shapes for backgrounds, how the information is divided, the different ways I can create different articles like this section. So think about your layout in blocks of information. So this is a box, this would be another box, this would be another box, right? Also, this would be one box, and this is another box. So this is how you kind of break down the page of your newsletter. So here we have two boxes. One is 1/3 of the page, and the other one is 2/3 of the page. So you can divide each page into different boxes or columns. Here we have one where you have two columns for the bottom article. This one is using 3 columns to highlight 3 different articles, and then one entire column for the masthead. So when you're looking at your page, use columns and blocks of areas. I'll show you how to lay that out. So based on inspirations, I created a quick sketch, and this newsletter, the name of the publication is called The View Newsletter, a Valencia College publication for employees. And here is my front page. You can see I have a masthead where it's gonna have a background image, the view title, newsletter, the Valencia logo, and all of the different assets that I need to have for this document. What information do you need, and what do you have to have on your newsletter when you downloaded your project documents right here. You have the project description, and here it gives you your articles and areas that you must have: a masthead, calendar of events, employee of the month, the new building photo with the article, and at least 2 to 4 articles for your company newsletter and images for those articles. Now, where can you find the articles? They're also in this folder. So this is the text that you will be using. Okay, here's the text. I'm basically going to lay out one of these articles based on the sketch that I just did. So if you look at my sketch, here I have an article, which this could be the employee of the month. This could be the new building article right here. This could be the new product article. This could be another article that I did. Here's the calendar of events, and here's the back cover. If you have a lot of space, and the way to deal with spacing is you have to resize certain areas. So if you have this article, right, for the employee of the month, and it's too small of an article, then maybe you want to work with a bigger image, right? Maybe I just increase the image. Maybe I just move this into 2 columns and I have some spacing below it. So there's different ways of adjusting the layout so that all of the content fits in there. Also, if you see down here, you can add a quote, pull quote, and that way that takes away some space. So there's always these other elements that you can add to your layout to make it more fitting into the area. So I have my sketches and I have my inspirations, and now I should start laying this thing out on InDesign. So here's InDesign, and the home screen, as you can see, is just like any other Adobe software home screen. And when you click new, you have the same new document screen with presets at the top for web, mobile, and print. Now, here's where you're going to set up each of the pages. So first, remember, we work on inches. Okay. Now, when you have a print, let's say like this. So this is called facing pages, when you have a layout where the document will show the pages side by side like any publication. So we'll start with the page 1, which is the cover. The inside pages will be set as spreads. Spreads is when you have 2 pages joined together, right? And then the back cover. So we create our document with individual pages like this. And we set up the document to be facing pages. So you'll have a document that looks like this, right? So the first thing we want to do is then, what is the actual page size? So the page size is regular letter size, 8.5 by 11 inches. And each one is going to be portrait. And the document is going to be facing pages because we're going to have spreads. So how many pages do we need? Well, we need 4 pages, starting with the cover. So page 1 would be the cover, 2 and 3 would be the inside page, and 4 would be the back cover. So If you look at my sketch, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now, the columns here is the actual grid. Okay, and this is what the grid looks like. This part right here. Okay, so if you look at this document, you see the columns behind it. You see all these guidelines. Those are the columns of the grid. The grid is a set of columns, gutters, margins that can help us divide all the content in different content areas and columns. So if you can see, these 2 pages are using 4 columns, right? But in each one, they're divided differently. So we can have a 12 column grid and divide our articles in different column spans, 3, 4, or 2. So we need 12 columns with gutter space and the margin around it to divide our content. So when I come here, the columns will be 12, and the gutter space I do about 1/8 of an inch. That's good enough space, and that's to separate the content. So if you look at my example here, the content will be separated by the gutters. Now margins. Margins are a safety zone from the edge of the paper to your content, and also helps manage the folio and keep a nice frame around everything. Imagery or backgrounds that go all the way to the edge, they'll go across the margin. So those go all the way to the edge. That's fine. So my margins, usually where the folio, the page number goes, I make that a little bit larger. So you may want to do a 1/4 inch margin so you can have a larger area of content. And then the bottom, if you're gonna put your page numbers and folio there, I will make it double the size, so 1/2 inch. Now the bleed, we have used the bleed before where we did our corporate identity, and here on InDesign you can just set up the bleed just like you did before, 1/8 of an inch. And your margins and your grid, they can also be set up on InDesign. That's why InDesign is great for layout design. Now the only difference is, since this is a publication and we have spreads, right, in the center of those spreads, we don't need a bleed because they're joined together. We only need a bleed on the other sides. So what I'm gonna do here is on the bleeds, unlock the bleeds, and the inside bleed is gonna go to 0. Now if you click on preview, I can actually show you what this document is looking like. There we go. And then I click create. Okay, so here is my InDesign document. Cover, inside pages, back cover. Okay, and what I want to start here is blocking off areas and setting up the main structure. First, let me go through what is InDesign. So InDesign is a layout software that you can incorporate different assets created on different programs. So illustrations from vector graphic programs like Illustrator, images from raster based programs like Photoshop. You can bring them all in here with text content and lay them all out, and then package everything into a folder that can be sent out to different designers and colleagues so they can work on this document. The reason that the links of images and any other assets are linked into your InDesign and not embedded inside of it, so that one is easier to manage, and two, the file document is not that big. So if we look at the example that I showed last week from our student, so this is what a package folder will look like. So we have the InDesign document. IDML is another format for InDesign where it can open on older versions. We have the PDF, right? We have a links folder, so all of the images are here. Okay. And we have a fonts folder. So links images are great because let's say that I have this picture or maybe this one in multiple areas of my publication, right? I have this where I'm using it, at least 3 times throughout the newsletter. And my boss says, hey, there's a blimp here on this picture, right? Or let's take out this red tag from the picture. I'm not gonna go picture by picture and change it. All I have to do is change it in this image once, and wherever that image is located on the publication, it would automatically get updated. That is the great thing about linking images. So InDesign is the same setup where you have file, edit, layout, type, object. It looks pretty much more like Illustrator than it does Photoshop, but it does have some Photoshop capabilities like effects. You can also here you have object layer options, so you can hide and show layers from Photoshop files that you bring in. It has a lot of the pathfinders, converting points. It also has effects tools, corner options, fitting options, and to make custom tables, and your windows, which has all of your palettes. You also have interactive tools, so you can make interactive PDF or ebooks for publishing. Your palettes are on the right hand side. So here's my page palettes. This is how it looks like. And my tools. If you look at my tools, you have a lot of the Illustrator tools. Pen tool, type tool. This is the content collector. So if you have icons that you use a lot, you can just place them in here, and with one click you can place them on the actual page. And you also have a selection tool and an anchor point tool or direct selection tool. So here you can actually create vector graphics too, just like in Illustrator. Okay. The palette that you're mostly going to use is the pages palette, the links palette, okay, and the properties of palette, of course, which is just like Illustrator, where whatever tool you have, or whatever assets you add, then the properties palette will change. So pages palette, you have all of your pages, and then you have something called parent page. Parent pages is basically like the master slides on PowerPoint. That whatever you place on a master slide on PowerPoint, you'll see it throughout all of the pages. So let's say that whatever is on the left page will come up on the left pages. Whatever I place on the right will come up on the right. So if I go here and I want to create a red circle that appears on all of the right pages, I'm gonna put it in my master page, and you can see how automatically it will be on all of the pages. You can't move it because it's on the parent page, it's on the template. So if I want to edit this shape throughout all of the pages, then I will have to come here to the parent page and replace it wherever I want, and then it will just go across all of them. Also have a non parent page where I can just apply it to certain pages, and that would override it. I can create more parent pages for different sections. So if I control click and duplicate, now I have a B parent page. And let's say that now on this B parent, my square, instead of red, I want to apply it as blue, cyan, and it's gonna be on the left hand side page. Then what I have to do now is grab that parent page and apply it to the page that I want it on. And now page 2 has parent B applied, page 3 has parent 8 applied. It's kind of like the layers palette, so I can just add more pages by clicking on the new pages. I can also move pages by clicking and dragging. I can grab 2 pages and move them as well to no locations. Or if I have pages that are not joined together, I can actually move them with the command key. So this kind of works like the layers palette, and I can also just drag them to this garbage can and delete them. It's fairly easy. So first thing I like to do is lay out the folio here on my parent page. So I'm gonna do one for Valencia College, and I need to get the right color for this asset, which is going to be part of the folio. So the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna have this bar right here, which is gonna be 2 columns with no outline, and I'm gonna have another one. It's gonna be a little bit separated, and that one is gonna go to here, and this one's gonna be black. There we go. Bring this up a little bit. So now I need to bring in the Pantones of Valencia, which I do have. So if I come here to my brand standards for Valencia, the brand sheet. So here I'm using 1805 for the red, 130 for the yellow. So I'm coming here to the swatches palette, and you can see some standard colors, and they're all CMYK right now. So what I want to do is click on the right hand little sandwich, new color swatch, cyan, Pantone solid coated, and 130 is the yellow. So this is the yellow, and I click add. The other color was 1805. So here I'm gonna put 1805. That's the Valencia red. Add. Okay. There I have my 2 colors. So now I can click on this one and click here. Right? And maybe instead of that white, I'm gonna have a yellow box in between them. So I'm gonna bring this here, and this one's gonna be that yellow. There we go. Now I want to add a page number, which will be here in white. So to bring in text into InDesign, you need to do a text box. You don't just click in once like you did on Illustrator. You have to do a text box. So here I'm going to control click on the text box, and I'm going to insert special character, markers, current page number. this is how you set automatic page numbers on your document. Okay, and you're gonna see a letter A because we are in the parent A, so it's just representative of whatever it is that you're gonna have. And if you can see on my left pages, I already have the parent A. They already have kind of like what's going on with the folio. So now I can customize this, which I'm gonna use the Valencia fonts, which is Gotham. I'm gonna use Gotham medium, and I'm gonna do it in white. Okay, and I'll bring this down right there. Okay, and I always wanted to have a little line or something, so I'm gonna do a little line like that. So now you'll see that wherever I have that page number, you'll see this little line, and I could change the color of it. Maybe I'm gonna make it yellow. Valencia yellow. So on top I have all of my properties palette. So now I'm gonna come here. Now here is very important because here you have the type and the box. So I'll show you how that works when I get to typography. Here's my color yellow. That's it. If I click on the letter W, I hide all of the guides. Perfect. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. And we also want maybe I'm gonna bring this in a little bit, show my guides so I know that I'm gonna keep them there. Yeah, I want a little space in between the next page. So what I'll do here is copy, paste, and I'm gonna bring this to this side, rotate it, and then remember this needs to go all the way to the bleed, the red line. And this one, I'm gonna copy it, bring it to this side, but I need to make some edits because this now is gonna be left aligned and the line's gonna go on the other side, right? Paste it and select right alignment. Perfect. So this is what my folio looks like now. I can add something maybe here so it doesn't look that blank. Puma Proud. Now let's say that I want to edit this text, right? Adding text, the box is just a placeholder. As you can see, I can resize the box and nothing is happening, right? Now the box is like a vector graphic. So if you click on the direct selection tool, or the W, so you can see, look what happens when I click on the actual box here. So look, I have anchor points. Okay, so it's basically a placeholder. Now if I hold down the handle trying to increase the size, I can't. If I hold down the command key, I can increase the size, but I can also distort it. So you want to always hold down the command and shift if you want to resize the font with the handles. Command shift, hold it, resize. and this is going to be red, and it's going to be on Gotham. So here my properties palette, Gotham medium, and we're going to change the fill color. So here on appearance, fill. Now look at my options here. So let's say, okay, I'm going to just change the color to red. I just changed the color of the box because I have two options to apply. I can apply it to the frame or to the text. So what I should have done is fill and apply to text, and here I can go and select the color, and that's it. So there's my folio. This is what it looks like. And if you look at my pages, this is what it looks like. Perfect. So this two, I'm actually gonna delete that page because I don't need it, and I only need 4 pages, so I'm going to delete 5 and 6. Now would be a good time to save. So file, save, and you would be saving this wherever you believe that you're gonna use it. So let's do the view newsletter. Okay, so now based on my sketch, I can start blocking areas out. So I'm actually gonna place it in here. So I'll go to File, Place, or Command D, and you look for whatever it is that you want. I want my sketch, so I can look at it, and I'm gonna click and drag, place it right there. So what I want to do here is start blocking areas out. All right, so here what I need to do is figure out how many columns every area is. So it seems like this is 1 column, this one is 2 columns, and this is 1 big column. So this one is 3 columns right here. 1, 2, 3. And then I start blocking those off based on the actual column. So 1, 2, 3. So if I want 3 columns, I need to divide this into 4. But you guys see how I have this one right here is kind of bothering. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. 1 more column shorter. There we go. So now I'm gonna start breaking this off. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. This one will be the other one. Maybe I want to have this about this height, and I'm gonna have this half an inch right there. All right, so now I can start dividing into blocks. So first block I'm gonna put up here, which is gonna be the big image of the masthead, and I'll put maybe like a cyan color. Next block is gonna be this bar that's probably gonna have, I don't know, a website or a special announcement. I'll make that yellow. And then here I'm going to actually have the table of content, right? And here I'm gonna have another box with actually it's gonna have like, I don't know, like the social media, follow us or whatever. And then here is the other area for the actual article. There. So if you look at my sketch, we got the follow us, table of content, main area, this area, this area. It's all there. Perfect. So now I can start playing around and laying this out. This actually should be all the way here. I'm gonna have to adjust this box in the parent. There we go. There we go. That's what my newsletter is looking at right now. Okay, so now I'm gonna start bringing images in and start playing around with this stuff. Okay, so first you can insert images into the boxes or just, delete the box altogether and then bring in your image. So first thing I want to do is, again, file place, and I'm gonna look for some pictures that I'm gonna be using. Nothing specific. More of the campus. Maybe this. And I'm going to click and drag on the area that I wanted. If I click once, that's what happens. It just places it at the actual size. So I don't want that. So I'm gonna click, hold, and drag. And from bleed to bleed. There it is. I'm gonna hold the shift key so I can click and drag this up. Now look what happens when I try to resize the box, right? It actually cuts the image because the image inside is floating around this box, which is what we saw before. It's a vector graphic. I can add anchor points and everything to it. So if I crop my image, there I have cropped the actual image, right? Now if I want to resize the image with the box, it's the same thing that I would do with the type, Command Shift, and then I can resize both of them. So I'm gonna resize this. And I'm actually going to place another box on top because I want this to have a tint on it. So I'm gonna make a box, and the box is going to be the Valencia red. And I'm gonna send this to the back because I want the image on top. Control click, send to back. Now I click on this image and look how up here I have effects. And I have transparencies and all the other effects. So here I can do transparency, preview, and I can do blending modes. I can look for one that I really like and keep it as a maybe I'll do overlay, like overlay. Okay, there we go. You can also change the color if I didn't like how it's looking. Maybe I want to do it in the Valencia yellow. See how that looks. I would have to, change this. I think I'll leave it there. So now I want to bring in my logo, Valencia logo. File, place, Command D. There's the box logo. And I'm just gonna click and drag on where I want it. So here's the important part. What I want to do is use the column. So Command Shift, and I'm going to resize it so it could be right in between columns. And I'm gonna start adding, the text. So first the title. This is called the view. And going to adjust it. If I want the box to fit into the actual font, you can double click on this handle and it will fit in. That way I can expand, and there's the name. My publication. And remember to use your columns for sizing. There it is. So here I can change the actual color. This is how it's looking right now. Not the prettiest, but I want you to get the point. I actually like this one, it was red. Let's see if the logo pops up. Maybe. And I want a line to divide there, and a new title, which is the subtitle. Newsletter. There we go. I want this obviously to be centered, so here are my properties centered. There it is. And remember, I need to also have the volume or issue, so I'm gonna put the issue 4, and same font as the newsletter but smaller, so I'm gonna highlight it, and with the eyedropper tool click on it, and there I have it. So place it right here and make it way smaller. and the date. I'm gonna hold down the Option key, drag it on this side, make it right align, and here I'm gonna put the date. There it is. There's my master head. And this should be black. And I'm gonna have to change the effects on this. Let's see if I can get something. Multiply. I don't know if I can. Other screen. If I put screen, then I can lower the opacity. There it is. Awesome. There's my master head, and this is going to be red. So here's a little text for the latest news. Visit Valencia.edu. So you have to kind of figure out, what information do people actually need, and then do little blurbs of that. So I'm gonna put it on this box, extend it so it could be one line, have it right align, and white. Oops, you see? Frame, text, white. There we go. There it is. So where did I get this from? It was actually here on my sketch. There it is. This is actually going to be yellow because that's where the table of content will be. But I'm gonna create an article for you guys to check out. Now is search for the content, file place, or Command D. And here I have some information for an article, and I'm gonna actually place this on the side. Okay, now here I have a title, subtitle, and a small amount of body text. Okay, now what I usually do is I separate the title and the subtitle from the content area. So I'm just gonna double click and highlight the title and subtitle and create a new text box here. This is why I didn't, this has got to be small. There we go. And I'm gonna make a text box here for the title and the subtitle. There we go. So now the copy text is in its own box, and I'm gonna bring it in here. Okay, you can obviously just open the Word document and copy and paste it. I'm gonna put this right here to fit in the whole area. Okay, this is what my article is look like, but I'm gonna make a change where this image is gonna be here, text wrapping into the actual article. That's going to push some of the text into the next page, and we'll go from there. And instead of being one long column, it's going to be two columns. So the first thing I want to do is first format the title. So my titles, if you want to see some information on what should the sizing be and all that stuff, you can go into your project specs, and in the second page you have information about text and some suggestions for readable text. Body copy 8 to 11 points, subhead 12 to 16, headlines 16 and above. So I'll start with the basic one. So I'll do 16, right, for the title, and this one is gonna be Gotham bold, and is also going to be the Valencia red, and this one is gonna be Gotham as well, and Gotham medium, and this one is going to be Gotham regular, book, and it's actually going to be 10 points. Okay, now notice how my subtitle is not complete and I have this little red box with a square. That means that there's overset text. There's too much text for the box. So in order to fix that, what I have to do is make the text box larger, and there it is. Now you guys can also see what I have here, which are hyphens. So it breaks up the text too much. I don't want those. So I'm going to select my text boxes, and under properties, paragraph, hyphenate. There we go. So there I have a title, subtitle. Title could be a little bit bigger, I think. There we go. It's more impactful. And body text. Now I want to divide this into two columns actually. Okay, so to divide this into two columns, I select my text box, and in the properties palette at the bottom you have text frames. This one I'm going to increase from 1 to 2, and my gutter space 1/8 of an inch. There it is. This is how my article is looking at right now. Now look at all this space, right? It's a lot of space. So I can do several things. One is I can adjust this the space in between the lines since it's too tight. So let me maybe add 2 more points to that. Okay, I can make this probably justified, so maybe I can do something like that. That creates a lot of rivers, which I'll show you how to fix that. So I'm just gonna leave it left align. Okay, I can also add a drop cap. So I'm gonna double click and place my cursor here at the beginning of the article, and on the paragraph you have all these different controls. The last one is for drop caps, which drops the initial letter down lines. So 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines. And I can actually highlight this, change the font, change the color to make it more interesting. Cool. Now, one last step, maybe I want to add a picture. So I'm gonna add the picture here in order to bring this down. And here, you guys can see how we have just one line. Then I can just shift that line to the next box by clicking Shift Enter, and that brings that to the second line. And now what I can do is bring in that image. So I'm going to Command D, and I'm gonna look for just any image from Valencia. We need a built-in image, so maybe this one right here. And I'm gonna click and drag it just to place it and bring it in here. And now I'm going to increase the size, right, so I can fit that area. Now what I want is the text to wrap around the content. So what I can do here is add a text wrap. Text wrap, if I have my image selected, you have on properties text wrap. And here I can wrap around the bounding box or the image. There we go. And I can increase the spacing around it. There we go. Perfect. I can click right here in the center of the image if I want to increase the size of the picture inside of the box, maybe, you know. And I can also cut down areas of the image, maybe bring this up a little bit more right there so it fits everything. Great. So there you go. This is a first step on laying out the article, and I would do the same thing with the table of content, the different boxes for each one of them, and also bring in icons for the social media from vectors, place them down here. Maybe this thing is gonna be, instead of green, of course, it's gonna be red, right? So this would be my cover, and the next step would be to lay out some of the articles in the back cover, which you can use with the same fonts, alignment, drop cap. The drop cap, remember, it always goes at the initial of each article. It's not for every paragraph. There's a lot more settings for typography that I'm gonna go through with you in class, but for now this is helpful just to get you started.